What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski and I'm back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And in today's video, we're going to be doing a preparation guide on how to beat the brand new ambush event that we'll be heading to One Piece Treasure Cruise Global in this upcoming week, being the Ambush Shanks event. Now, this Shanks unit is an absolute beast. Highly recommend, if you guys can beat this unit, can beat this dungeon, then you definitely should try and max this guy out because he is absolutely phenomenal. So without further ado, guys, let's get straight into the video. So first of all, let's go ahead and start breaking down this brand new farmable character, Redhead Shanks, captain of the Redhead Pirates. So he is an int cerebral free spirit character, and he is a 5-star character that does evolve from the 4-star version that you can get from the dungeon itself. Now, at max level, at level 99, he has 2,552 HP, 1440 attack, and 353 recovery. So his stats are very, very good overall. Now, he has 50 cost, and he has 3 socket spots. His captain ability will boost the chances of getting matching orbs, and then also boost the attack of cerebral characters by 2.5 times. So, a really solid captain for a free-to-play unit, getting matching orbs, and a straight 2.5 lead to cerebrals. Now, you partner this up with the Red Force ship from the Shanks Forest on the training forest in the game, and you've got yourself a really powerful cerebral team that will get tons of matching orbs. An absolutely phenomenal lead. So even though this guy has an amazing captain ability, his special ability is probably better. It is an absolutely crazy ability. So it will max at 15 turns, and then it will go ahead and reduce paralysis by 3 turns. And then, for cerebral and free spirit characters, it amplifies the effects of orbs by 2 times, and recovery and tandem orbs are treated as beneficial for 1 turn for the cerebral and free spirit characters. So this is the perfect unit for time skip Luffy teams, because previously they've had to use either 1.75 times boosters or they've had to use Doflamingo. Now, Doflamingo is a great unit, do not get me wrong, phenomenal character. However, he does not get a boost on a free spirit team. So, you know, even though he is giving you matching orbs and the 2 times orb boost, this Shanks is just so much better because he himself does get a boost in a time skip Luffy team, which amplifies the amount of damage output that those teams can actually output. Now, even though that time skip Luffy is probably going to abuse this guy the most, you know, still other free spirit leads like Sabo, Int Ivankov, and all those other guys, you know, Legend Lore, all of those guys are gonna, they're gonna abuse this guy. Like, this guy's a phenomenal character, and even though he is a free spirit booster, he is also a cerebral booster, so even if you are missing 6-star Doflamingo on a crocodile team, he does slot very perfectly into a 6-star crocodile team. So make sure to go ahead and farm this guy, definitely, if you own a really solid free spirit or cerebral team. Even if you don't, this guy is an amazing lead for cerebral teams anyway. So I would definitely try and max this guy out 100%, even though he is very hard to try and max out because he is an ambush character. If you guys can farm it, you definitely should because he is a phenomenal character. So now let's start breaking down all of the different stages for this fight. Now, before we get into the breakdown of the stages, I just want to say really quickly, how do you actually encounter this guy? So the way to encounter him is during certain events, usually during Clash of Clashes events, you will go ahead and have to beat that Clash of Clashes, either the raid boss or whatever. You have to beat the raid boss, and then you can encounter Shanks. Now, kind of weird, because on Japan One Piece Treasure Cruise, they had it in the Colosseum, where you would take on the Colosseum, and then, you know, you'd get a chance to encounter Shanks at the end of the Colosseum. And then they eventually moved him to raid bosses once a new invasion came out, or a new ambush event came out. So, kind of weird, they're starting it off at raid bosses. So you have to beat a raid boss, either 40, 60, or any kind of stamina. Higher rates of stamina give you more chances to actually encounter Shanks. But after you beat that raid boss, you get a chance to encounter Shanks, and you have to challenge Shanks with the team that you just used in order to beat that previous raid boss. So it is kind of tricky. You have to build a team that can beat both a raid boss and this dungeon itself. So overall, Shanks is going to be very, very hard to actually beat, but if you can do it, as I said earlier, I would highly, highly recommend to try and farm this guy. So now, as I said, let's go ahead and get into the stage breakdown. So, stage number 1, we have 6 different mobs, all are cannoneers, all are int characters. However, the first 3 guys at the front will all have either a good, great or perfect barrier in order, and then you have the guys at the back, and then you do have a center. The center guy at the back has a ton of HP, 150,000, and he has an attack power of 14,500, and he is always usually on a 3-turn cooldown, so that's the guy that you probably can take out last. And then all of the other guys do have varying cooldowns from what I've seen in videos and clips and all that. All of the guys really just have varying cooldowns, but I believe the guy at the back will always have a 3-turn cooldown. But yeah, they all do a ton of damage. They all have, you know, reasonable amounts of HP. They're not too hard to take down, ranging between 20 to 70,000. Usually 1 or 2 hits can usually take those guys out. But remember, those guys at the front do have good, great, and perfect barriers, so you do have to make sure you are hitting your combos correctly in order to deal damage to take out the cannoneers. So stage number 2, we have a whole bunch of different characters once again. We have an Elder Turtle, which has 15 HP, which means you can get quite a little bit of stall off on the turtle. He does 1700 damage and does have varying amounts of cooldown, so this guy's probably the guy that you want to be stalling on the most in this entire dungeon. And then you have the Captain Mob at the back centermost unit, who has 20 HP but has a little bit of defense, and he will attack on the first turn, which will go ahead and seal yellow characters for 7 turns, and then after that he will go ahead and attack on the second turn once again, and he will go ahead and deal damage on that time. But the first attack, he will chain yellow units. The second attack, he'll start doing damage. Then you have the Gatling mobs on either side of the Captain Mob, who have 52,000 HP and will attack you every few turns for 66 to 6,700 damage. So definitely want to take those guys out first. You can potentially get chained by the Captain Mob, which will get you a little bit more stall, and as I said before, the Elder Turtle will provide a lot more stall as well. Stage number 3, we encounter Lucky Roo and a whole array of different pirate characters. So the pirate mobs surrounding Lucky Roo have 42,000 HP, and they will attack you on varying amounts of cooldown for 5,000 damage. Now Lucky Roo himself has 470,000 HP, and he'll attack you every 3 turns for just about 15,000 damage. Now Lucky Roo does have a preemptive attack that will apply a healing buff, so every single turn he's going to go ahead and heal 70,777 HP, and then he will also inflict 20% of your HP every single turn. So those are 2 different buffs that he has. He puts up a healing buff and then a damaging buff, so at the end of every turn he's going to be healing and doing 20% of your health to your crew. Moving on now, we have Ben Beckman on stage 4. The pirates surrounding Ben Beckman have approximately 80,000 HP, and they'll attack you every 2 turns for 6,200 damage. And then Ben Beckman himself has 422,000 HP and an attack power of 10,000 flat, and he'll attack you every 2 turns on a 2-turn cooldown. Now, he again does have a preemptive attack that will cut your HP by 20% and then blind your crew for 4 turns. So you definitely want to try and get rid of that blindness before you do move on to stage 5 against Shanks. That really would help out a lot. However, on turn 3, he'll go ahead and berserk all of the enemies and then buff all of their attacks by 1.5 times. So when Ben Beckman attacks after turn 3, he's going to be dealing 15,000 damage to your crew. So ideally, you don't want to be doing that. So the best sort of strategy here is to take out Ben Beckman and 2 of the pirate characters and leave 1 of the pirate characters, probably take a hit from him, and then before he attacks for the second time, you can go ahead and move on to the next stage. Now moving on to the final stage of this ambush event, being Shanks himself. Now Shanks has 3,772,500 HP and an attack power of 9,200 damage on a 1-turn cooldown. Now, he does have a preemptive attack that is quite intimidating. It will despair both of your captains for 5 turns. It will special bind your captains for 5 turns. And if you guys don't know what special binding is, it basically means that their specials are inactive for 5 turns. You cannot activate their specials for the next 5 turns. And then it will also apply the special bind to 2 random sailor units for 1 turn. So now we've arrived at stage 5 of this ambush event, which is Shanks himself. Now Shanks has 3,772,500 HP and an attack power of 9,200 damage, and he will attack you every single turn on a 1-turn cooldown. Now, Shanks' Pre-Emptive Attack is very, very intimidating. It will go ahead and despair your captains for 5 turns, and then apply a special bind on your captains for 5 turns, and then special bind 2 random units on your crew that are not the captains for 1 turn. So if you guys are unfamiliar with what special binding is, it is where your specials are not being able to be activated for a certain amount of time. So for the captains, they cannot be activated for 5 turns, and then for the 2 random sailor characters, it's for 1 turn that they cannot activate their special abilities. So after turn 1, and then again after every 3 turns, he will cancel all special effects and then randomly shuffle all of your orbs. So if you are relying on a specific special to help you get a boost or do damage to Shanks, you're gonna have to, work around that, because, after the first turn and then again after every 3 turns, he will go ahead and cancel all special effects. Moving on from that, on turn 2, and then again after every 3 turns after that, he will then once again cancel all special effects and then paralyze all of your units on your crew for 1 turn. So that is also quite an annoying feature of his, that if you are ready to go ahead and do your burst turn, he may go ahead and paralyze your whole crew for that turn. So once again, as I said, Time Skip Nami is a phenomenal character, as she will get rid of paralysis and she will go ahead and get rid of special binding. So she is a phenomenal unit for this actual event against Ambush Shanks. Now, Shanks will continuously cycle through these special abilities that I said after turn 1 and then every 3 turns, and then after turn 2 and then after every 3 turns after that. There is a cycle where it goes turn 1, turn 2, then there's a break, and then he'll go back to turn 1. But remember, after each of these turns, he is attacking, remember. He is doing 9,200 damage every single turn, as well as these special effects as well. Now, if he gets under 30% HP, he will do the exact same for the Preemptive Attack. He'll do that once again. However, the Special Binding and Despair for the captains is 7 turns, not 5 turns. So, getting him to 30% or lower is definitely not recommended. If you get him to that stage, you're probably going to end up dying, unless if you have Time Skip Nami. But even then, not too much you can really do at that stage. You'll probably end up dying at that point. So it's highly recommended, if you want to go ahead and get him to a low HP and then stall him and then try go ahead and burst him, would be around about 30% or higher. You don't want to get him below 30%, otherwise that's probably going to spell the end of your run. So now let's talk about some specific teams that you guys might be able to build in order to take on the Ambush Shanks event. Now, the first team is a 6-star Crocodile team. Probably one of the most used teams that I've seen against Ambush Shanks, because you can use Time Skip Nami, and Nami actually gets a boost from Crocodile in this team. So this is probably one of the most optimal teams. So the way that this team works is that when you are against Shanks and he does the Preemptive Attack, where you get Despaired and Special Binded and all that for 5 turns, you want to go ahead and make sure you have a level 3 Captain Despair, because that will go ahead and make it go down to a 2-turn Captain Despair. And then the turn where he goes ahead and applies paralysis to your crew, your Captain Despair will be inactive. Then you can go ahead and use your Nami to remove the paralysis, removes the rest of your special bind, and you can go ahead and do your burst turn, where you have your Robin to go ahead and put you to 1 HP, and we'll go ahead and lock your orbs. Locking orbs is actually pretty important for this team, which is awesome. You have Doflamingo to give some matching orbs and the 2x orb boost, and then you do have the Crocodile type boost as well. Now, you go ahead and do a ton of damage to him. You're probably not going to kill him unless if you get really lucky with some matching orbs here and there. But you won't kill him unless you have a full board of matching orbs. But even if you just have the Doflamingo orbs and you have the type boost and the orb boost, you have Kuma for the orb boost for the following turn. And because you did lock your orbs, you'll have the 3 orbs that Doflamingo gave you still. So you'll have those 3 orbs, you'll have the Kuma orb boost, and you'll be able to take him down because he is delayed from Robin's ability. So that is fine there as well. And you shouldn't have too many issues with this team. However, one thing I do have to note is that you do have to make sure that you can at least take 1 hit from Shanks. So you do have to enter the room with around about 10,000 HP. So it will be tricky getting to Shanks, but once you get to Shanks and have at least enough HP to tank 1 hit, then you shouldn't have too many issues from here on there. So the next team I want to showcase to you guys is a Jinbei team. Now the way that this team works is obviously when you enter the room against Shanks, he is going to go ahead and despair your crew. Now that despair is going to be quite bad because you are going to lose all of your HP. But the great thing is that you have Legend Marco. So the ideal way is you want to go ahead and just try and survive after you're being despaired. Try and survive to the fact where you can go ahead and pick up as many food orbs as possible, and then once the despair has finished, you can go ahead and use your legend marker or your psi marker, whatever you want to bring, and heal yourself all the way back up to full. And then you just want to try and pick up as many food orbs as possible until you literally cannot take any more damage. That's when you want to go ahead and do your burst turn, where you activate the Jinbei special, the Sabo special, and also the Senor Pink special as well. And also the Koala special. So you're going to go ahead and use all of your specials on a single turn and burst him down. Now with this team, when you activate all of those specials, you want to try and make sure he's around about 50 to 60%, otherwise you won't have enough damage to kill him. So the best thing is, as I said, use Marco to heal all the way back up after the despair. Take as many hits as possible before you cannot take any more. Then use all your bursts. So you should get him close to 50 to 60%, and then you'll be ready to take him down from that stage there. So the last team that I have to showcase to you guys is a Cavendish and a Blackbeard team. A double Blackbeard team does work, but if you are going to do that, you will have to fit a slasher on this crew somewhere, whether it be the Raid Doflamingo, or if you have a sub Cavendish, that also does work. But ideally, actually, Blackbeard and Cavendish leads is probably better in this case compared to a double Blackbeard leads. That's just my personal opinion. And the way that this team will work is, in the case where you have the Cavendish Blackbeard, is you want to go ahead and once again try and just survive those despair turns. And if you do survive, you can go ahead and heal with Marco all the way back up to full. And then you want to get in, just do as much damage as you possibly can until you pretty much cannot take any more hits. And then when you are at a turn where he's not going to do any special effects to you, you can go ahead and use your health cutters with your Blackbeard and your Whitebeard, which are awesome. And Whitebeard 6-star plus is the most optimal unit because he can also randomly shuffle your orbs as well, so you can try and get some matching orbs. And the good thing about that is you can actually reset the app to get different rerolls on the orbs that you get from Whitebeard special, which is really, really nice. So following using your 230% health cutters, you can go ahead and use your Strong World Usopp, who will delay Shanks, and then also give another 10% health cut, and then you have access to Cavendish's special, which will go ahead, give himself a matching orb for 2 turns, give himself a type boost, give himself an orb boost, and then you can go ahead and use your raid boss Sabo to just add even more damage on top of that. And ideally, I think this team does around 1.4 million damage, so after the 230% health cuts, and you've been doing a little bit of damage to him here and there, you should be able to take him out in at least 2 turns, which is absolutely fine. You'll have no issues with this team whatsoever. The Cabbage Beard team works very, very well. So that is going to conclude this video, guys. Hope you guys did enjoy it, and if you guys did, make sure to smack the like button down below. And if you want to stay up to date with all of the content I post on my channel, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I will see you guys within the next video.